As we approached the Ouija, Molly ran out to greet us, crying, Nathan, you're alive! I knew you were, I knew it! Come see Papa, he's better! Papa was sitting up in his bed of skins, looking almost like his old self. He hugged me hard, then held me by my shoulders and looked into my face and smiled. He said quietly, I'm right glad you're back, son. All the things I wanted to say got stuck in a big ball in the back of my throat and stayed there. It seemed like Pa was having the same trouble. Better get yourself some food, he said finally. Ezra's taking care of Job. When I had eaten one bowl of stew and was commencing on the second, Molly begged me to tell about my trip back home. Between bites, I retraced my steps with words. When I got to the part about finding Miss Tiz and the chicken slaughtered, I saw Pa's face darken and Ezra's twist up in the way that made him look so fearsome. Molly crawled into Pa's lap. I felt real bad making her cry. Just telling about it was like it was happening all over again, and I realized I was crying too. I knew I had done the right thing to bury Miss Tiz when I saw the look on Pa's face and the way he nodded his head just the slightest bit. When I told about Weasel stalking me in the dark, I could feel all their eyes on me, wide and wondering. So I reached into my back and pulled out your whatchamacallit, Ezra, and threw it right at his middle where he was holding Pa's gun. Ezra let out a whoop and banged his fist on his knee. I'd never seen him so fired up. Molly cried, Nathan, you did it! And Pa shushed everyone so I could go on. By the time I got to the part about Weasel swearing at me because his foot was shot, Ezra was laughing so hard there were tears rolling down his face. I was starting to enjoy myself, feeling like a real storyteller. The way Ezra was carrying on and Pa and Molly were exclaiming and shaking their heads. But then I began to tell the final part where I walked past Weasel and out the door, and all at once I felt the coldness in my chest again, the tightness around my mouth, the hardness in my heart. I wanted to kill him, I said softly. Then I was shouting, I hate him! I wish I did kill him! Someday I will kill him, I will! Silence filled the Ouija. Molly was looking at me in a puzzled way, like I was a stranger. I tried to make them understand what had happened, how I felt. He told me about you, Ezra, about you and fighting the Shawnees, and about your wife and the baby. Looking into Ezra's eyes and frozen face, I thought, he feels this way too, like something's cold and dead inside. We're the same now, Ezra and me. There was a bitter taste in my mouth. I swallowed. Pa cleared his throat and said, Nathan, you've had a bad time, but it's over now. What you need is a good, long rest. And then he added softly, I'm very proud of you, son. I was glad to sink into the bed, to surround myself with the smells of wool and tan leather, to turn away from the others. I couldn't face the wary look in Molly's eyes, the worry behind Pa's, knowing in Ezra's. As I drifted off to sleep, I heard Pa's words again. I'm very proud of you, son. I had imagined him saying those words to me and imagined how good I'd feel. But now it was really happening, and I didn't feel good. I felt ashamed. I had the chance to kill Weasel and didn't. Why didn't you just pull the trigger? I asked myself over and over again. I could have come back and told Ezra I got revenge for your wife and your baby. I could have told Pa and Molly Weasel wouldn't be hurting folks anymore. I could have rescued Krabby too. Instead, all I did was save my own skin. We passed several days in the Ouija for me to rest and for Pa to gather his strength for the trip home. His leg was fine, he said, as good as new. And he made a lot of fuss over Molly's skill at healing. I could tell he was pleased. I was glad Pa was better, and I wanted to join in his jokes and stories and games like I used to. But something wouldn't let me. I sat as silent as Ezra, broadening about Weasel. I knew I was making everyone jittery, but I couldn't help myself.